Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to your favorite news destination. You're watching In Your Interest with me, Kabir Naqvi. And on the segment tonight, let's try and decode and tackle that gutter mindset that we should have done and tackled like yesterday. Tonight, we're peeling back the layers on a silent crisis that's holding back half of our nation. The deep scars of menstruation stigma and the untapped power of women locked out of India's growth story. How do we explain a country that cheers its sportswomen but shames everyday women for their bodies and choices? India is rightly cheering our women cricketers who have entered the World Cup final. Our hearts are filled with pride after seeing Madam President Draupadi Murmu soaring into the skies in a Rafale jet. But there is another India where a West Bengal police officer spews venom. Additional Superintendent of Police Laltu Haldar from Ranaghat Police District claimed that young women drink alcohol and go on rampages, and this is damaging to the society. And in another part of our country, some women workers turned up to work in pain only to be told to strip and prove that you're on your period. That's the nightmare that unfolded at Maharshi Dayanand University in Haryana. Women cleaners faced orders from a supervisor to bare themselves and prove that they were menstruating. One worker stood her ground and refused, sparking protests that rippled across campus like a wake-up call. University leaders rushed in, suspending 3 staff members and filing police complaints. But the women at the heart of it aren't stopping there. They're calling out loud for dignity on the job, for rules that protect instead of humiliate. It's a raw reminder that even in educated spaces, old biases turn women's bodies into battlegrounds.
हमारे सुपरवाइजर ने बोला आप पैरों चेक करवा के जाओ। हम चेक कराने के लिए हमारे साथ दो बहन और थी, दोनों बहनों ने हमने चेक किया।
हमने हमारे सुपरवाइजर से रिक्वेस्ट की कि सर हमें लेडीज दिक्कत है, तो सुपरवाइजर ने बोला कि पहले हमारी एक साथी ने कॉल की थी कि सर मैं थोड़ी देर में आ जाऊंगी और मेरे को जाने दिया जाए। तो फिर हमने भी बोल दिया कि भी हमारी भी बोल दे, हम 3 लेडीज थी कि हमें भी दिक्कत है। तो फिर हमने सुपरवाइजर को बोला तो उसने क्या तुम्हें तीनों को ही दिक्कत होगी है एक साथ है।
तो उन्होंने बोला कि क्या तीनों को एक साथ दिक्कत हो रही है? मेरे तो ऊपर से ऑर्डर है, तुम तीनों आ जाओ और चेक करा के जब जाना तुम्हें ये प्रॉब्लम है या नहीं। और एक हमारी साथी है, उनको साथ भेज दिया कि आप जाओ और चेक करके आओ कि इनको ये प्रॉब्लम है या नहीं है। तो उन्होंने चेक किया और आके बताया भाई इनको ये प्रॉब्लम है।
But now, this pain doesn't stop at one campus. It's chasing girls through classrooms and corridors nationwide. In Maharashtra's Thane district, a school head got arrested for allegedly ordering a strip search on students just for menstruating. In Tamil Nadu, a Dalit girl bleeding through her first real test was forced to sit outside her class 8 examination, treated like an outsider in her own future. And in Bihar, a top IAS officer crushed a girl's simple query for pads by mocking it like it was something shameful, on par with condoms. The damage runs deeper than these shocks, bleeding straight into India's tomorrow. In villages, 24% of girls quit school the moment their periods start. That's still a reality. They are pushed out by dirty washrooms and whispers that call it dirty. That's 23 million dreams ditching desks every single year, all tied to this hidden shame. And on the awareness front, well, forget it. 71% of girls get hit with their first bleed without a heads up. They are learning on the fly because families in schools still treat open chats like poison. At offices, it's no better. Women grit through cramps without a break or a kind word. Their needs shrugged off as drama. Menstruation isn't just personal. It's a chain dragging down health and lives together. This mindset affects the Indian labor force. Our country's female labor force participation stands at just 32.8%, far below both the global average of 51% and the G20 average of around 50%. Even lower income neighbors like Bhutan with 34% fare better. In contrast, developed and emerging economies show significantly higher engagement. USA 86%, China 68%, Russia 64%, Japan 55%. Take a look at some of those numbers for your own self on your screens. And the World Economic Forum ranks India 124th out of a possible 136 countries in women's economic participation, highlighting a glaring gender gap that continues to cost the nation both growth and equality. Experts say unless India brings more women into the workforce, its much touted demographic dividend may turn into a missed opportunity. In other words, India's real rocket fuel might be the women we've sidelined. The IMF lays it out simple. If ladies joined the workforce like men, our economy could balloon by 27%, pumping life into every corner, from farms to factories. And right now, millions stay at home, buried in unpaid care, in unpaid chores like feeding families and minding kids, which is again equally important, with no daycare or safe rides to pull them out. Fears of harassment on streets and stairs keeps them away, whilst old school rule books and this rules box, it boxes them into fields and handicrafts that pay peanuts. This isn't about fairness alone, it's cold math. India stalls when women sit out. Growth demands we lift them up, not leave them behind. We've got an esteemed set of panelists with us on the broadcast tonight, but the big questions that we're trying to decode and ask: can India ever grow at full strength if half our population is excluded? And do Indian women not own their bodies? And why do we allow taboos to dictate their future? With me on the broadcast, well, Dilip Cherian, founder, Perfect Relations and Image Group. Many thanks for taking out the time. See Mitali Nikore, founder and chief economist, Nikore Associates, also with us on the broadcast. Advocate Rekha Agarwal, soon going to be with us, Supreme Court and women's rights activist. And I can see Mamita Chakrabarti, political analyst, who's with us on the broadcast as well. You know, on one side, we celebrate India's women conquering at the World Cup, from Team India's victory to women flying our Rafale jets, let alone the president herself. And on the other, we're still policing their periods and their pints as well. Why the two Indias for our women? Let's get the snowball rolling and let's talk about the economic lens over here as well. Mitali, let me come to you first and foremost. The IMF says that the Indian GDP could rise 27%, balloon at that rate, if women worked at par with men. Yet, we're stuck around 32% participation. What do you think is blocking that growth particularly? When will India stop treating gender inclusion as CSR and start looking at it as GDP?
First of all, thank you so much for raising this topic, putting it on the prime time, putting it in everyone's minds, because we're constantly fighting to get this topic as a serious topic on the debates. So that's the first thing I'd like to thank you for doing, and thank News9. Now, there are three major barriers which we have identified, which Nikore Associates has been working on with the government of India. And I definitely want to congratulate the government, because in many cases, the central government at least has been taking this, topic very seriously and working with us and with several other organizations to bridge these gender gaps. The first one is to do with unpaid care work. At the end of the day, we are finding that women are doing between 5 to 6 hours of domestic work, child care, elder care every day, as per Government of India data, whereas men do 30 minutes. This, as per Nikore Associates calculations, which have been cited in the economic survey of 2024, are actually 15 to 17% of the GDP. So if we actually invested that much in, setting up daycare centers and setting up childcare and setting up nutritional facilities and elder care facilities, we could unlock another fifth of our GDP. So that's the first point. The second point is with respect to safety. When we look at the safety in our cities, when we look at commuting, when we look at the fact that parents are afraid to send their daughters to school, to skill training and to work, after 6 p.m., after 8 p.m., after 10 p.m., this safety question constantly limits women's mobility. As a result, when you look at the National Family and Health Survey data, even today, more than half the women in this country cannot step out of their villages, out of their communities without, permission or a male guardian.
You're right. And that's why I need to ask you, Mitali. I mean, are social barriers like safety and menstrual stigma actually economic barriers in disguise? Isn't that so?
100%. The reason why you're not able to go to work is because it's not safe for you to go to work. Somebody could harass you on the way. And the third point which I was going to come to is exactly this, on the fact that infrastructure whether this infrastructure is in offices, infrastructure in public spaces, it is not designed for women. Where is the clean washroom? There is no way that, tomorrow if a company wants to employ a ride-hailing driver to be a woman or a delivery girl, where does she go to the washroom in a public space? There is no space available. And as a result, newer and newer jobs in urban sectors which are coming up are excluding women. So these are all big questions that we need answers to, and we have been advocating, we have been giving solutions, but they require both the private sector and the government to make considerable investments.
Absolutely. Mamata, let me come to you next. Both of these incidents, the one in Haryana and the one in West Bengal, I'm not going to reiterate exactly what prevailed because it's so shameful. Collectively, all of our heads should hang in shame. But both of these incidents, they show that women are being failed by their own state systems and apparatus. This is just administrative apathy that one can clearly look at, or from where you're looking at these developments, there is a deeper political disinterest in women's rights as well. There is the policy front that Mitali spoke about as well, so much that the central government is being able to do. But on a state level, in both of these cases, Haryana and then West Bengal, it's the police officer. And in Haryana, in Rohtak, it's the supervisor in the same university. I mean, how much more shameful can we get?
Sorry, I'm unable to hear you. The last line, can you please repeat?
I'm saying, how much more shameful can we get?
Yeah. So, see, actually, Team India's women, the Team India's women beat Australia and the country wins with pride, right? So, Bharat ki betiyan, we say chest high, hearts full. So, but on the other side, on the very same soil in Haryana, the women's staff at a university are forced to take the photographs of their used sanitary napkin to prove whether if they are menstruating, they are menstruating, right? So, and in Bengal, a police officer mocks women in drinking. A remark not only undignified, Kabir, but revealing a mindset that still sees women just as an object to be judged, not the citizens to be respected. See, let me be very clear. I do not support drinking publicly at all, but it defines, and I do not support that drinking publicly defines the women empowerment. But I also refuse to believe that a police officer, man in uniform, has the right to humiliate the women under the guise of morality. Right. So because that's not the discipline, that's a huge disrespect. The truth is, it's all about the university or the one officer, not about the university or one officer. It's about the society that still wants to control the women, not to celebrate her. We clap when she wins the medals, but we question when she bleeds. And as a woman, someone who studies politics and power, I must say, the social impact remains dangerously outdated. And here is when the political responsibility begins. It's not about the government is in power, BJP, Congress or TMC, but whether the governance ecosystem has evolved with women's dignity at its core. Sadly, in many states, Kabir, including West Bengal, the administrative machinery still functions with a patriarchal subconscious. When a woman is forced to prove her period, the nation bleeds silently. That's all I have to say as the opening comments.
The Bengal officer's remark, Mamata, women drinking harms society, damages society at large. What kind of message does this send to the next generation of Indian girls? And it's not that sexist part. It's the part where he says men go on drinking and continuously rampaging out on the streets. It's the women's job to take care of those men. I mean, how much more sexist can a police officer get?
So now I want to raise the questions to those officers. Okay, so where are they when the girls are getting raped everywhere, almost everywhere? In a hospital, if you talk about RG, or if you talk about Durgapur, I'm talking about Bengal, okay?
Yep.
If you talk about Durgapur gang rape, if you talk about that IIM just a couple of months before. So a lot of rape cases in Bengal happening, almost in every 10 minutes, one rape. So that's how people are living there. So in this situation, people are so much, very conscious to purify the woman's behavior and the attitude, right? But they are not taking care of rectifying their men since their childhood. Why the education is not given to home since birth? Right? Why we are not focusing to raise our male child since they are kid? So that's how it should be purified. It's not that, a woman is drinking, that means she is bad also. I don't believe in that way. And also, I do not support, as I told you, that women empowerment cannot be defined when you are just drinking publicly. So it's all about the mindset we are going through. It has to be changed. So the system cannot change this. So it's about within. It comes within.
Okay, Mr. Cherian, let me come to you. Many thanks for patiently waiting. You know, the split screen that we've been showing on our screens as well. How does one explain this split screen reality? Women being celebrated on podiums, but then they're at an equal level being shamed in the workplaces.
Kabir, there's no doubt that we are a dangerously patriarchal society. That's one. Number two, I think the big issues need to be addressed frontally. I think that if India can rewrite its textbooks to either rewrite its history or to say that crackers are bad, surely it's time that both at the central and at the state level, we included very important messages to both boys and girls that these are the parameters under which cultured societies work and how you are expected to behave. You need to build that in from the school. Unfortunately, given that we are a patriarchal society, you cannot expect too much to happen in the home. That is the sad reality. It should not be the case, but that is the sad reality. Now, Kabir, the problem is that we are not using the tools we have. If you see, the women in Haryana are still talking about it as if they have a problem.
Yeah.
It's a natural process of every month. So I think that we need to make sure that if people are reluctant to do this kind of education, put it in the textbook. Make sure that children recognize and understand this from the very beginning. Patriarchy needs to be stopped, and it needs to be stumped at the school level, at the college level.
But how is that possible, Mr. Cherian? Will that ever be possible? At least not in the near future, in my limited opinion, because you see, patriarchal attitudes, they're still holding power at a time when the entire global optics is changing. We're talking about feminism every other day. We're talking about woke politics every other day. So much of our lives depend on what global trends are telling us to do. I think the problem is that India is performing all of this. India is performing when it should be practicing these change in the patriarchal attitude.
You know, if you look at it from the political point of view, you had a minister recently telling his understanding of the truth to Australian cricketers who were molested and abused on the street. So the patriarchy begins at the top. The way to intervene is to, just like smoking and a lot of the pollution has been controlled because of education at the school level, we need to make sure that we change this. The second is, what needs to happen is change from the top. It is the ministers, it is the bureaucrats at the very top, it is the owners of schools, it is the owners of colleges. We are trying to say we need to change society. And I'm saying society can be changed by changing what is being taught in the schools. But as far as leadership is concerned, you need male and female leaders to come out there and talk about everything in a very open and make sure that the kind of discrimination, women hold up half the sky and they are at the moment holding up our GDP growth. We need to make sure we unleash that power, and the president should also, in a sense, be part of this whole process, because ultimately that is where power begins in this nation.
All right. I think it's clearly failure of messaging. It's that India's gender story still oscillates between the Devi and the defiant. But we're going to have to slip into a quick commercial breather here. All right, Advocate Rekha Agarwal, Supreme Court lawyer and women rights activist, is also with us on the broadcast. A quick commercial breather on the other side with Advocate Rekha Agarwal. We'll try to decode as to what she thinks about both of these incidents that have come to light, one from Haryana and one from West Bengal. And both of these incidents force us to put our heads down in shame. We'll talk about this. We'll continue to talk about this right on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
लास्ट टाइम कश्मीर गई थी ना, वहाँ खाया शहद, पर उसके लिए कश्मीर जाना पड़ेगा। अरे कश्मीर क्यों जाना, कश्मीर ही यहाँ आ गया।
सुंदर वादियों में महकती खुशबू और रंग बिरंगे फूल, इनमें से शहद निकाल कर जमा किया जाता है असली शहद, लायन कश्मीर हनी।
असली शहद, असली स्वाद।
भाई साहब, आपने भारत कनेक्ट का नाम सुना है?
एक और सोशल मीडिया ऐप।
सोशल मीडिया ऐप नहीं, वो 700 से ज्यादा ऐप्स पे बिल पेमेंट्स पॉसिबल बनाते हैं।
बढ़िया है।
आप हमें जानते नहीं पर मानते जरूर हैं। हम हैं भारत कनेक्ट।
A resurgent India is racing towards the Viksit Bharat goal, braving global economic headwinds. Bulletproofing our economy from these uncertainties are our homegrown businesses. Powered by tech-led innovation, Indian entrepreneurs are truly scaling up, riding the next wave of disruption with AI and cloud to break into the big global league. TV9 Network in association with SAP presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, a series celebrating inspirational business leaders shaping tomorrow. Watch them take an iconic leap. Coming soon, exclusively on News9.
Thanks for staying within your interest. We're trying to decode why the two Indias for our win. On the one side, we're celebrating that cricket victory, President Murmu taking a sortie in the Rafale jet, and on the other side, we're continuing to police their periods and their alcohol intake as well. An esteemed set of panelists that are with me on the broadcast. I'm going to quickly go across to Rekha Agarwal, advocate, Supreme Court and women's rights activist. Advocate Agarwal, how do you react to this in 2025 when women are still being asked to prove that they're on their menstrual cycle? What does this say about the mindset that we're up against? Why is it that menstruation, a basic biological reality, even today triggers humiliation even amongst educated administrators? Both of those supervisors were educated people. They cited permission taken from the registrar to take those pictures of those sanitary pads.
At the outset, of course, I am absolutely revolted. I don't even feel like talking about this. It is so shameful, so revolting. It is unbelievable that in today's age, such a thing is happening. But at the same time, if I may be honest, I'm not at all surprised. Because we clearly live in a world of denial. Life is totally about denial, where we do not want to give girls the status of equality that has been guaranteed even under the Constitution. We still continue to treat them as second-grade citizens. We want to deliberately deny them the positive discrimination that the Constitution has allowed under Article 15. That certain privileges can be given to women just to bring up women and children in society, because it is an accepted fact even by the constitution makers that women and children are often treated as second-grade citizens. So in our country, when what is written is one thing and what is actually practiced is another, we clearly live in two different worlds. It's almost like, it's like the theater of the absurd. It's an absurd world that we are living in. That we want to, at one time, we glorify women. Let us not forget, very recently, that Navratras had gone. And the holy festival of Navratras had gone, where Hindus celebrated, where we treat women as devis. You yourself use the word devis. Yep. On one hand, we treat women as devis, and let us not deny the fact that this is the same country where surreptitiously, despite the fact that female infanticide is not permitted, it's illegal. You cannot have a prenatal diagnostic test. Hospitals and nursing homes denied having, they cannot do so.
So then, advocate, from a gender rights lens, advocate, are such incidents isolated or are they symptomatic of deeper institutional rot? I mean, what can be done in the way India looks at women's dignity? Do you believe that policy reforms alone can fix this, or we do need a moral re-education of the bigwigs, of the people who are sitting at the top?
I think that moral education must first begin at home, and then in the schools. Then only all the kind of reforms that are done on papers will actually see reality. Otherwise it will be just words written on paper without any, it's all lip sympathy. So until and unless, let us not forget that in our schools, I remember in school we had this chapter, one whole period, which was called moral education, moral science period, where except for the Catholics, who went to church and studied the catechism, okay? But the rest of the class, whether they're Hindus or whether even they're Mohammedans or whether they are Parsis or any religion whatsoever, we all had what is called the moral science subject, where we were taught basic human human behavior. So I think that needs to be done. Otherwise, we'll keep having such incidents. It's absolutely symptomatic of what is happening in society. In a period, menstrual cycle is still.
A lot of work that needs to be done. A lot of work that needs to be done. It can't be CSR anymore. It has to be GDP.
No,
and we were talking to Mithali right about that. Mithali, I'm completely running out of time here. I'm going to ask all my guests to exercise brevity. Let's do 30 seconds roundup each. Mithali, how do we make the economic case for gender equality loud enough to pierce through the social and the political indifference?
So 3 things. First, we need quotas, we need actual targets. By quotas, I don't mean like reservation, but just targets. Hire more women across job roles. Police officers, bus conductors, teachers, drivers, any job role, make sure at least 30 to 50% are women that are coming in. Second, we need to bring in gender responsive budgeting. State government, central government, we need to expand the amount of money that is being allocated for gender equal programs. And number 3, we need to make safety in public spaces as a war crime. Train bystanders, train police, anyone who misbehaves with a woman, absolutely jail them immediately.
All right, many thanks. Pertinent points that you've raised over there. Mr. Cherian, let me come to you. What would gender sensitivity, because I mean, you work in, image creation, you've helped people set narratives, you've helped institutions set narratives. What would gender sensitivity look like if it were truly integrated into our communication rubric?
As Advocate Agarwal said, I think we need to change the mindset both in the family as well as in the schools. And the family actually, unfortunately, is the tougher one to crack because there's generations of patriarchy there. So the lower hanging fruit is changing significantly the whole education thing, including adding a moral science class, if possible, rather than rewriting history, which we are obsessed with. The second thing we need to do is we need to make sure that, even if it seems like tokenism, you have to ensure that women are put into leadership roles in many more places. And I would again start by saying that political parties should ensure that they nominate an equal number of people to the seats that they want people to stand for in election. You can't have the kind of rubbish that goes on in panchayats where the husband sits on the side of the wife who is actually elected by the panchayat. That kind of rubbish needs to be penalized and needs to be stopped. I think if we do these 2 things, we will be on the way.
That's another form of unpaid care, where the woman is being elected, but she's not been able to take her own calls. And, completely run out of time here, Mamata, but you've raised those pertinent examples that you cited in your previous answer as well. We celebrate our women when they win medals, but humiliate them when they ask for dignity. And India can't grow fast.
Can I just add one line?
By leaving women behind, because empowerment isn't just about opportunity, it's about respect. Final line, Mamata, I need to close the show.
See, our Rigbed says, Ritumati Samanasa Vanita Bahukpa. Matlab, it is the menstruating woman who becomes the mother, the source of creation. So that's how we need to raise our next generation.
We're humiliating the source of creation.
Yes.
That's exactly the thing. I don't know where we've got in this discussion, but it's important to continue to talk about this. Many thanks, Advocate Agarwal, Mamata, Mithali, and of course, Mr. Cherian. Many thanks for taking out the time. That's all the time we have for you in this edition of In Your Interest. Many thanks for watching. We'll see you again next week.
डेली मुझे कॉन्स्टिपेशन की प्रॉब्लम होती है, मैं क्या करूं? 2 स्पून काफी है। ये प्रॉब्लम दूर करने के लिए लायन डेट सिरप। इसमें आयरन, फाइबर्स, विटामिन्स, बीमारी से लड़ने की ताकत बहुत ज्यादा है। फाइबर, कॉन्स्टिपेशन से रोकथाम। रोजाना 2 स्पून लायन डेट सिरप हल्के गर्म दूध में भी मिलाकर पी सकते हैं। लायन डेट सिरप रोजाना 2 स्पून।
A resurgent India is racing towards the Viksit Bharat goal, braving global economic headwinds. Bulletproofing our economy from these uncertainties are our homegrown businesses. Powered by tech-led innovation, Indian entrepreneurs are truly scaling up, riding the next wave of disruption with AI and cloud to break into the big global league. TV9 Network in association with SAP presents Visionaries of Viksit Bharat, a series celebrating inspirational business leaders shaping tomorrow. Watch them take an iconic leap. Coming soon, exclusively on News9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be. In a major development, and this is coming from the poll-bound state of Tamil Nadu, MLA K.A. Sengotrayan has officially been removed from the AIADMK party by the AIADMK General Secretary Edappadi K. Palaniswamy with immediate effect. And this comes right after Sengotrayan, OPS and TTV met in an act of defiance which prompted EPS, it seems, to crack the whip. All happening ahead of the assembly elections expected to take place early next year in Tamil Nadu. The AIADMK row, and seems like more trouble now for EPS or not. Well, we'll have to wait and find out. But Sengotrayan has been expelled from the AIADMK. Toya Jakshi Shekhar, my colleague, joins us live on the broadcast here. Toya, what does one make of this recent and latest development after him meeting OPS? And we already know what happened between EPS and OPS after Sengotrayan meeting OPS and TTV Dinakaran. What does this essentially tell us? The rejig that's happening, what next for AIADMK and what next for Mr. Palaniswamy?
Well, Kabir, like we all know what happened yesterday, that is on the 30th of October, during the Thevar Jayanti, which happened in Madurai district, where we saw that OPS, TTV Dinakaran and Sengotrayan jointly paid tribute to the Thevar statue in Madurai, where they also jointly gave a press conference. This immediate announcement comes right after this incident where the AIADMK Opposition General Secretary Edappadi K. Palaniswamy has announced the immediate explosion of senior and the Gopichettipalayam MLA Mr. K.A. Sengotrayan from all party responsibilities, including basic membership from the party. This disciplinary action was taken because Mr. Sengotrayan acted contrary to the policies, principles and bylaws by publicly challenging the current leadership and engaging with the recent expelled rival leaders like OPS and TTV Dinakaran in a bid to force parties' unification, which the EPS-led faction views as an act that disrupts the party's orders and work against in this interest in the 2026 assembly elections.
So, Toya, in terms of, weightage on the Libra scales, there seems to be an EPS faction, there seems to be a growing, faction of people who have been sidelined by the AIADMK. EPS says that, the party functionaries have to work along the lines of what M.G. Ramachandran had to say, what Jay Lalita had, envisioned for this entire party, which is what these three leaders aren't really doing. But on the other hand, do you see the three leaders now who have already gotten into a huddle? Will this become a problem for the AIADMK in the future? Are we seeing more fissures within the AIADMK? Because all of them stake claim to the party, and the AIADMK itself is a cadre-based party. And they all, well, at least were cadres now that they've been expelled.
Well, Kabir, like we all know that what exactly happened between O. Pannirselvam and Edappadi K. Palaniswamy. But on the other hand, when you see that Sengotrayan, being the senior most leader of the party, currently has been expelled with the immediate effect, where this comes right after the joint press conference which was given by the TTV Dinakaran from Amma Makkal Munnetra Karagam and OPS and Sengotrayan in Madurai, where they said that we will be working together in the upcoming elections. And on the other hand, when you see even Sasikala yesterday, she has also stated that I will bring back the rule, and I will again bring back the power of AIADMK. I will never let Jayalalitha down. This right after this kind of statements by Sengotrayan, TTV Dinakaran, OPS faction and Shashikala, that's when Edappadi Palaniswamy has taken a step to expel the Sengotian from the party with immediate effect with a disciplinary action, Kabir.
And Thoya, I think we'll have to wait and find out as to what this really means, because on the one side you've got EPS and all those constitutional rules of the AIADMK, and on the other hand now you've got VK Shashikala, TTV Dinakaran, you've got O Paneerselvam, and now add Sengotian to that list as well. Just a couple of days back he'd asked for unity to call all the people back, and Shashikala had come out and said that that's exactly the voice of every party worker, but we don't know that. It's a cadre-based party, and elections right around the corner. Interesting developments, needless to say, Thoya. Many thanks for joining us here and helping us out with the latest developments. All right, then, shifting our focus here. A controversial video. This is a video of a West Bengal senior cop that is now going viral on social media for what can be called